Army fighter jets target terrorist gatherings in Homs, Aleppo, Daraa, and south of al-Hasaka. Iraqi army kills more than 70 ISIS terrorists in Samarra, south of Tikrit. And more than 40 people are killed following new Saudi airstrikes on a number of Yemeni towns. Good afternoon. In Homs countryside, a military source said that the military aviation destroyed dens of terrorists in Tel Bisa, Palmyra, and other areas. A Syrian Arab army unit has targeted ISIS terrorists in al-Shaddadi and al-Dawudiyya village south of al-Hasaka city and destroyed their hideouts. Syrian Arab army units and people's defense groups have clashed with ISIS terrorists near the Juveniles Institute and the main power station, as well as Sakhar village in Hasaka's southern countryside, inflicting heavy losses on the terrorist organization in men and material. A source in the governorate said that ISIS members tried to storm into the Juveniles Institute, currently under construction, using 5 booby-trapped cars. He added that a suicide bomber detonated one of the cars near the main power station south of the city, causing damage to the station and putting it out of service. Meanwhile, ISIS admitted on its website to the killing of a number of its members, including some of its leaders. The Syrian Arab Army also destroyed hideouts and vehicles belonging to ISIS near the Air Force Academy in Aleppo's eastern countryside. Intensive operations were carried out in Aleppo last night and this morning by the Syrian Arab Army against terrorist Takfir organizations' hideouts and their lines of supply with the Turkish regime. A terrorist cache was destroyed northeast of Al-Nairab in Aleppo's northern countryside. Several terrorists were killed and wounded in Al-Wadihi village in the city's southern suburb, which witnessed yesterday the destruction of a warehouse of weapons and ammunition. ISIS hideouts were also destroyed near the Air Force Academy on Aleppo Al-Raqqa highway. Huge losses were inflicted on ISIS in men and material. Other operations were carried out in Bustan al-Qasr, Al-Zahra Society, Al-Jandul, and Al-Layramun neighborhoods inside the city, where Nusra and other Takfir organizations members were killed and wounded and their weapons and ammunition destroyed. In Daraa's eastern countryside, Syrian Arab Army units eliminated many terrorists of al-Nusra front that is linked to the Israeli occupation entity. A military source pointed out that an army unit destroyed dens of terrorists in 3 locations in Daraa al-Balad area, which is considered one of the most dangerous supply lines for the terrorist organizations from the Jordanian border. During its operations against the terrorist organizations in Hadasta and Damascus countryside, a Syrian Arab Army unit seized a network of tunnels that had been used by the terrorists to transfer their weapons and ammunition. A 30-meter-long trench was found, a military source said, adding that the trench was linked to a network of tunnels, one of which was over 200 meters long, leading to the electricity establishment. Another tunnel led to the athletic hall in the city of Hadasta. The tunnels, the source said, were illuminated and provided with ventilation pipes. A quantity of explosive devices was found inside. All the tunnels were completely destroyed by the army, who later inspected the area and its surroundings, the source added. The Lebanese national resistance took control this morning on Murad Ghazi Hills and Harif Wadi al-Hawa in the town of Arsal east of Lebanon, following fierce clashes with terrorists making new progress towards Al-Zarub mountain at the outskirts of Arsal. Al-Manar TV reported that the national resistance made considerable progress in the direction of the eastern mountains, taking control on several areas adjacent to Arsal following clashes with gunmen. In Iraq, a police force eliminated 50 ISIS terrorists during a surprise attack on their dens west of Samarra in Salah ad-Din province. The attack also destroyed 4 vehicles used by the terrorists. In Kirkuk, 16 ISIS terrorists were killed during airstrikes by Iraqi fighter jets on al-Rashad and Riyadh areas in al-Huwayja district southwest of Kirkuk. The airstrikes also destroyed a booby-trapped vehicle and a warehouse full of weapons and ammunition. Saudi aggression on Yemen continues as new airstrikes target civilians in Sana'a and Sada, killing at least more than 40 people. More in the following.
Airstrikes by Saudi-led alliance targeted Yemen's capital Sana'a, killing at least 40 people and destroying civilian infrastructure and public buildings in several areas. The Saudi airstrikes hit home in the central province of Ib and targeted areas in the northern province of Sada, killing and wounding scores of people, including women and children. Meanwhile, the Yemeni army, supported by the People's Defense Forces, shelled with rockets the Saudi cities of Najran and Jizan, destroying a number of Saudi military vehicles. In another development, the UN Security Council will hold a meeting today in response to a Russian request, calling on all Yemeni parties to adopt political dialogue as the only solution to the crisis in Yemen, taking into consideration the possibility of reaching a new humanitarian truce and allowing for urgent international aid to reach the Yemeni people.
People's Assembly Speaker Mohammed Jihad al-Laham has said Syria is open up to international cooperation in combating terrorism within the framework of international law and UN Security Council's resolutions related to fighting this phenomenon which jeopardizes world and regional peace and stability. During his meeting with members of the Armenian-Syrian Friendship Society, Laham said it is no more a secret how deep the Turkish, Qatari and Saudi involvement is in supporting and arming the terrorists who are committing awful crimes against the Syrian people. He pointed out that the Turkish regime, represented by its President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, confirms today through its support for the armed terrorist organizations the criminality of its Ottoman ancestors against the Armenian people 100 years ago. On his part, head of the Armenian-Syrian Friendship Society at the Armenian National Assembly, Dachad Vartabedian, affirmed that terror is an evil that threatens the entire world and that the world community should unite efforts to fight this dangerous phenomenon. He expressed the Armenian people's solidarity with the Syrian people who have been fighting those armed terrorist organizations for more than 4 years. With this, we conclude our news for today. Thank you for watching. For more details about Syria and the region and to view this bulletin again, you can always visit our website in English, syriaonline.sy. Now to latest business and market news with Syrina, but after a short break.
Good afternoon. The Cabinet discussed in its session held yesterday the economic and services situation in the country, focusing particularly on the needs of the displaced families in Idlib who fled their homes after terrorists took over their neighborhoods. The Council also discussed measures of marketing wheat and barley crops, calling on the Ministry of Finance to allocate the necessary capital for buying the two crops from farmers. Prime Minister Dr. Wael al-Halaqi called on the concerned ministries to make available all requirements needed for the displaced people of Idlib. The Council also discussed other issues on its agenda and ratified proposals concerning house rent policy in the country. The Central Bank of Syria has set the exchange rate of the US dollar against the Syrian pound at 271.29 as an average price for the banks and 271.35 as an average price for the exchange companies. The bank has also set in its foreign currencies exchange rate bulletin the price of the dollar against the Syrian pound for personal transfers at 275 Syrian pounds. On the other hand, the euro exchange rate against the Syrian pound was set at 296.62 for the banks and 296.68 as an average price for the exchange companies and 307.55 for personal transfers. The trading volume of Damascus Securities Exchange market increased last month over 1,000 shares implemented through 439 deals in a value exceeded 44 million Syrian pounds through 15 sessions, as the indicator achieved more than 3 points according to the monthly report of the market. The International Islamic Bank of Syria headed the bank sector through 19 million pounds, while the other winning companies were below the 2 million pound level. The Commercial and Industrial Property Protection Directorate in the Ministry of Internal Trade and Consumer Protection generalized on the ministries and concerned parties the conditions of participating in the national competition for creativity and invention for the year 2015, which aims at fulfilling the needs and practice implementation of these inventions. This competition is being promoted through posters and stickers in order to deliver the message of the competition for the participants. Crude oil futures declined by 0.68%. Market men said the fall was mostly in step with a weak trend in Asian trade today, as dealers awaited the latest U.S. energy stock reports amid concerns about a sustained global supply glut. Asian stocks markets were mostly lower Wednesday, as Greece's bailout woes and stagnant Wall Street performance weakened investor sentiment. Gold prices turned lower amid uncertainties in the Greek debt negotiations and a weak US dollar. The safe haven metal, along with other traditional safe haven assets, has been unable to extend gains amid Greek uncertainty. The US dollar exchange rate has surged in popularity in recent weeks as US economic data has improved. However, Tuesday saw US factory orders slip by 0.4% in April, more than expected by economists. With this, we conclude our economic news for today. Thank you for watching and goodbye.